We're joined now by Jose Gabilondo, Associate Professor at FIU's College of Law, to help explain what this all means for you and me. Okay, Professor, we got a debt deal. Are they basically saying that they downgraded us because of the politics?
Well, Standard & Poor's gave two reasons. They said, and the first reason was that the fiscal plan wasn't credible enough. It didn't identify enough loans, and it didn't identify enough budget cuts, and it didn't say when those cuts would be made. And the second reason that they downgraded the rate was, our standing was because of what we call political risk, because it looks like Congress is in a logjam and may not be able to make up its mind. Oh, and by the way, S&P gives two rates, the long-term rate and the short-term rate. They kept in place our short-term rate. They just lowered our long-term rate.
Well, quick question, Professor. How does the rate the Treasury pay influence us as customers on our mortgage or education loans? Don't really understand all that.
That's a good question, because it seems like it's their problem, not ours. But you have to understand that what interest is. Interest compensates the lender for the risk of making the loan to you, and there are two elements in the interest that you and I pay when we get a mortgage or an auto loan. One part is the riskless rate. You can think of that as the base or the objective interest that everyone pays. That's the rate the Treasury pays. That's the rate that a borrower who's assumed will never default has to pay. Then on top of that, you and I have to pay a premium for risk that reflects our own personal risk. What happens if the Treasury rate goes up is that everybody's base rate goes up. So in addition to any personal risk that may increase your credit cost, the Treasury rate will affect all of us when we go to borrow.
If I have bad credit, I tend to go cash free. Can the U.S. government, just go credit free and just solely with cash? Can we do that here in the United States? Just operate on a cash basis?
Well, unfortunately, we can't because of the volume of payables that we have. The government does have a cash account spread out through a variety of banks, but it needs money all the time, so it refinances itself, sometimes on very short-term basis, 16-week, 32 weeks, but sometimes on a longer basis. So no, cash is not an option, and we don't have it.
Well, Professor, how is the Treasury's debt situation here affecting people globally? Don't really understand all of that.
Well, the Treasury market is a very important market. It's the largest and most liquid debt market in the world, and people have faith in the Treasury market because we've always paid on time, our securities are very liquid, and it's sort of like we're China's money market mutual fund. Wow. And we are the money market mutual fund for a lot of countries that have excess reserves, in part because they've made the money by selling us oil and other commodities and don't know where to park that money. So they'd rather park it in treasuries because they've always been a very safe investment. So we're viewed as the safest bet in the world historically.
What happens next? How do we make this better?
Well, that's a good question, and unfortunately, no one knows exactly. Maybe nothing will happen because it was only one credit rating agency that downgraded the U.S., and it's worse when two or three do it. And also, we have the benefit, and it's strange to say that, of the crisis in the Eurozone countries, which means that sovereign debt worldwide is in a crisis state, so that our bonds, even though they've just been downgraded, are still better than other countries' bonds. And you also have to realize another reason why nothing may happen is our creditors, like China and Japan, have a huge portfolio of Treasury securities. The next time Treasury goes to borrow, they have an interest in keeping the rates down, because if Treasury rates rise, what that means is that the value of their existing bonds drops. So there are a bunch of reasons why nothing may happen. That said, tomorrow S&P is going to release analyses of more entities, and we've never been in this situation before, so it's possible that rates will rise. Another thing, I don't think people realize how interest rates are set for the Treasury. I think we have this mistaken idea that a group of central bankers and Treasury officials are smoking cigars in some study and making up their minds about how it works. That's not how it works. We're at the mercy of the market. So what happens is Treasury tells the world we want to borrow X number of dollars for X number of years, and then there's an auction. And in the auction, we discover, it's called price discovery, what the rate is that Treasury is going to pay. So no one really knows what's going to happen to the Treasury rate until they start having their auctions this month. So we'll have to wait and see.
Jose Gabilondo, thank you for coming in with us again this morning. We appreciate it.